Coach Rocky Long. Hi, Coach.
Morning, guys. How are you doing this morning?
We're doing really good. Yourself?
I'm doing all right, thanks.
Coach, did the Aztec basketball run come into play at all during spring football?
Yeah, we had to move some practices around because our players and our coaching staff were into it. And we moved some practices around so we could watch the game.
As far as gaining inspiration, though, from what your pals on the basketball court were doing, you guys talk about that at all?
Well, we talked about a lot of those things when we'd have team meetings and stuff about their unselfishness, the teamwork. When a guy had a chance to step up, they'd step up and finish the game. Yeah, we talked a lot about that stuff.
And the visibility, Coach. I mean, just having the Aztecs out there in front of people, it just gives you a lot more visibility around the country.
Well, it does, and I think that we need to move the basketball tourney up a little bit so that it would have hit right before our signing date.
Right.
That would be really helpful.
Yes, we can see what we can do about that.
Okay.
Coach, so the reason we called this morning, we're talking to Rocky Long, head football coach, is because obviously there was great excitement after the Poinsettia Bowl. Then you get named the new head coach. Then this crazy basketball season happens, and then all of a sudden it comes to an end at the Sweet 16. All this is happening, this tournament run, while you guys are having spring football, and just people aren't paying attention quite as much, although 1,200 showed up for your scrimmage. How'd it go out there? Talk to us.
Well, I thought it went okay, but I enjoyed watching the basketball team play so well, too. And as a football coach, you kind of like being under the radar when you practice in the spring and fall camp. You just as soon everybody forgets your fall camp until the week before the first game, because there's not as many people around watching, so you can actually work on some things that you're going to do next year instead of worrying about someone spying on you.
So let us spy for a moment, Coach. Tell us how senior quarterback Ryan Lindley did. Is he getting better? Is he showing you signs that he's a future pro? What can you tell us about Ryan?
Ryan got a lot better, and I think he's taken ownership of the team. He's one of our better leaders, and he's at a little disadvantage this year because last year he had those two great receivers that he could throw to and can count on. Now, in spring practice, he's got a bunch of young guys out there that are trying to earn their stripes and learn what to do and do the right thing. And hopefully Ryan can make them get better faster, because that's one of our biggest concerns. But Ryan did great. I mean, he's going to be an NFL guy. And if those young receivers come along, he'll have another great year.
Well, give us an idea which young receivers are stepping up right now.
Well, there's a lot of talent out there, we think, but Dylan Denzel probably had the best spring. But we have Ezel Ruffin and Jay Waddell that we think, and David Lamar, that are freshmen that redshirted last year, that we think have great athletic ability. Now, I'm not real happy with the way they performed this spring. They'd have good days and bad days, and they have to have more good days and bad days for us to be good. But there's a lot of young talent out there, but I don't think you're going to see the same production out of those guys that you saw the two last year.
Yeah, Brown and Sampson being gone. Now you got to find somebody who's going to step up. I mean, you mentioned Denzo. Didn't he he had a touchdown reception from Lindley in your black and red game? And he's a kid there seemed to be a lot of excitement about coming out of high school. He's from Orange County, and you say he looked pretty good.
No, he had the best spring of all the receivers, and he caught a lot of tough passes over the middle and made some big plays out of it. And obviously he has a little experience because he's a little bit older, but he had the best spring.
How about Ronnie Hillman? I mean, what a season he had, and then that Poinsettia Bowl game. I mean, he really put himself on the national map. Ronnie, I'm sure, I expect that he had a good spring, but I wonder how you keep the other running backs interested when you know you've got a freshman who had that kind of a year.
Well, it's funny during spring practice, if you have young receivers, you got to be better at running the ball. So we spent a lot of time beating up each other on offense and defense, trying to run the ball against 9 and 10 man fronts, and I thought that was one of the positives of the spring. We think we have four running backs that can play, which is a lot more depth than we've had in the past. And obviously Ronnie had a great year last year, and will hopefully have another great year. But Walter Casey had a good spring, and Dwayne Garrett and Adam Moema, who are two freshmen, they both had really good springs. So we have a lot of depth at running back, and maybe we're going to have to run the ball more.
What part of your team, Coach, maybe didn't have a good spring? What part of the team are you most concerned about right now?
Well, the biggest concern is wide receiver. I thought the offensive line did well, and I thought we ran the ball pretty well. And then the defensive line, we lost 3 seniors in the defensive line, so there's a lot of young guys in that position group that's trying to get better too. So the biggest concerns are wide receiver and D-line.
Coach, you guys all done?
Yeah, we're done. We actually had the spring game, and then we practiced 2 more times and finished right before spring break, so they're happy.
Yeah, and wasn't there a story that like the winning team got like a steak dinner and the losing team had to eat like hot dogs or something?
Well, it's still coming. Yeah, that's the rules around here. We don't condone losing, and we promote winning. So sometime during the spring, we'll take a day after they lift weights and run, and we'll have a little barbecue, and the losing team, all those guys get to eat hot dogs. And I thought the hot dogs were too good last year, so we're going to make sure they're worse. And the winning team gets steaks.
Really bad hot dogs then.
Yeah, they were way too good last year.
Right.
Got to really think about this. I mean, you can't give them a Hebrew National.
No, you can't take them to Sonic because those hot dogs are ridiculously good.
Sonic, you give them a Chicago dog, the guys with the steaks will be trying to trade them for those chili cheese dogs. Let's see, you can't give them a Nathan's because Nathan's a pretty good dog. Ballpark pops when you cook them, but that's just garbage. I mean, that's like pig lips and...
Oh, dude.
What?
Pig lips?
See, you give a guy, here's what I'm getting at. You give a guy a bad hot dog, Coach, now you're not, giving your team proper nutrition.
That's right.
Yeah, one meal doesn't matter, though, and you can take good hot dogs and ruin them. I've done that before. You don't put them on the barbecue. You boil them until there's nothing left of them, and then they're good.
You know what's one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen was I was at a birthday party, and this mom showed up, and she had hot dogs in a thermos of hot water. And then she was taking the hot dogs out and putting them on the buns for the kids.
Oh,
so she essentially boiled them in a
child
thermos.
abuse.
Oh, it was disgusting.
That's terrible.
Coach, that's what you got to do.
Oh, that might be even too bad for me. I'll tell you what.
I mean, it was gross.
Oh, Coach Long pulling out the hot dogs from the thermos. That's awesome.
That's disgusting. Anyway, Coach, we just wanted to check in because, listen, I know there's going to be a lot of excitement when football starts, but in the middle of all this basketball hysteria, you guys, like you said, you got to practice under the radar. We appreciate the scouting report.
Well, it's nice talking to you guys again. I thought maybe you forgot about me, which is okay, by the way.
No,
Never forget about you,
Coach.
Never do that.
Okay.
All right, Coach. Well, we'll talk to you soon. Enjoy the little time here, the spring break. You going to Cabo or San Pedro or Fort Lauderdale, or are you going to any of the good spring break hangouts, Coach?
Why would you leave San Diego?
No,
Great point.
No question.
They all come here for spring break.
Is that the story?
My daughter did.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All right, good to know. Maybe I'll hit PB.
Leave those young girls alone.
Coach, we'll talk soon.
All right, guys, thanks.
Take it easy.